What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Now, this book is subtitled A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom, and I feel that that's exactly what this book can serve to be for anybody who reads it. It's very straightforward, so if you're just getting into self-help and spirituality, maybe you just started a meditation practice and you've never really read a book that would fit into that category of self-help before, this can be a great first book to read. One of my close friends actually said that it was the first book that he read, and we both got into self-help and spirituality about like 3-4 years ago now. Now, I just read this book the other week, and I thought it was amazing. So even if you're woke and you find yourself a couple years into your spiritual journey as well, I think this book can still really serve you. Just because it's straightforward and kind of basic, so to speak, it doesn't mean it's not really valuable. So I'll tell you a little bit about it. It's called The 4 Agreements, and I'll tell you why. Essentially, he outlines the way that we live our lives as a set of agreements that we've made to ourselves. So let's say that I have a self-esteem issue. It's because I've made a subconscious agreement to myself that I'm not good enough, or that I'm not pretty, I'm not beautiful. Now, that's an agreement that I've made to myself. But we can also go and make positive agreements to ourselves too. So he talks about how most of the problems in our lives are because of negative agreements that we've made to ourselves, or agreements that don't really serve how we want to be living our lives. So if we want to have higher self-esteem, we have to go ahead and we have to go break those agreements about us not being good enough. Just to give you an example. So the 4 agreements that he gives you in this book are to go ahead and break all the agreements that you've made that are holding you back in life, and also to reaffirm and to create new and positive ones that are going to get you living in your own personal hell to your own personal heaven. And that's how he describes it. So the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. And essentially what he means by this is to be integrous with your word, to be honest. Not only with others, but with yourself. So if you say that you're going to do something today, go ahead and do it. Make a plan and then get after it. The second agreement, what's the second agreement? What's the order? To not take anything personally. That's it. So he breaks this down beautifully, and he outlines how, he has a really good introduction, and he outlines how everybody is only acting out of their own agreements. So if somebody is being rude to you, it's not because they have a personal vendetta against you. It's because of an agreement that they've made to themselves. So maybe you're doing something that goes against their own personal bias, one of their own agreements, and then they go ahead and demonize you for it. Maybe they call you names. He outlines very beautifully how you should not be ever taking anything personally, because nothing is ever meant to be personal. Let me rephrase that. Foundationally, nobody means harm against you. When somebody says something or takes action against you, and it's seemingly against you, they want to put you down, they want to hurt you, it's really a reflection of how they feel about themselves. So you can understand why you shouldn't be taking anything personally. It has nothing to do with you. If somebody's hating on you, it's really just a reflection of how they feel about themselves. And you can go ahead and verify this to be true by thinking about any time that you've demonized someone else, or any time that you've called somebody a name. You don't really mean it at the core. Like, fundamentally, you're not really angry at that person. You're just angry in general. You're angry at yourself. And that's something that is quite difficult to fully come to terms with. A lot of people are going to be strongly in denial of that. But just go ahead and read the book and see what he has to say about it. He outlines it a lot more. The book is about 130 pages. I'm obviously not going to sum it up as in depth as he wrote it in this 5 to 10 minute video. So go ahead and read the book. The third agreement is to never make assumptions. And this is because when we make assumptions, we jump to conclusions. We think that, okay, this person is doing this because of that. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this. How do I put this? Don't make assumptions. That's the third agreement. You can see we're making assumptions. There's a phrase, making assumptions just makes an ass out of you and me. And it's true, when you make assumptions and you don't know things to be true, you could be acting out of your own ignorance. So you can go ahead and dedicate your whole course of action for your day to an assumption that you've made when that's not true. You could spend a whole bunch of time and energy self-sabotaging because of an assumption that you've made about why someone did something, and you think it's in spite of you, or you think that the world is conspiring against you, and you're kind of pessimistic in this sort of way. And that can lead you down a whole bunch of different rabbit holes every day that are very draining of your time and energy. And it just doesn't serve you in the long run to make assumptions. So that's the third agreement. Now the fourth agreement, and this is perhaps my favorite one, is to always try your best. And that seems pretty straightforward. Always try your best, it seems kind of a cliche. But that's really taken for granted, and don't overlook the importance of this, always trying your best. I found after I read this book, even though obviously I'm always going to try my best, after I read this, in this past week, I've found myself in a number of situations where just the title of that chapter, the title of that agreement, that fourth agreement, has rung in my mind and made me persevere and push through and keep trying my best at something. So it's proven to be pretty powerful, even just in this last week in my life. Like I said, even though that's something that in the back of my mind I've always known, it's really powerful. It's not just that one phrase. Like, he's got a whole chapter on it. It's a book. He goes in depth on it. And I'm actually going to read you a page or two from the book, from that chapter in a little bit, about always doing your best. But a key point that he brings up too is that your best isn't always going to be the same. So if you're miserable, your best might be down here. But if you're happy, doing your best might be over here. So your capacity to do your best is going to be different. So don't use this as a way to self-sabotage yourself. And maybe if you're having a shitty day and feeling down and you're putting something off, sometimes that's okay. Don't think in the back of your mind, but I'm not doing my best. Sometimes your best is to lie down on the couch and relax, and that's okay. Don't always resort to that. That's not always your best. Oftentimes your best is so much more than you can ever imagine. But yeah, don't use it as an excuse to go ahead and self-sabotage and play these mind games. Now I'm going to read you a couple pages from that chapter which stood out to me. They seemed really powerful. And you can kind of get a taste of the book and decide, do I want to really read this book based off of these few pages too? So here it is. This is page 79 in the fourth agreement. Doing your best is taking the action because you love it, not because you're expecting a reward. Most people do exactly the opposite. They only take action when they expect a reward, and they don't enjoy the action. And that's the reason why they don't do their best. For example, Most people go to work every day just thinking of payday and the money they will get from the work they are doing. They can hardly wait for Friday or Saturday, whatever day they receive their money, and can take some time off. They are working for a reward, and as a result, they resist their work. They try to avoid the action, and it becomes more difficult, and they don't do their best. They work so hard all week long, suffering the work, suffering the action, not because they like to, but because they feel that they have to. They have to work because they have to pay the rent, because they have to support their family. They have all that frustration, and when they do receive their money, they are unhappy. They have 2 days to rest, to do what they really want. And what do? They try to escape. They get drunk because they don't like themselves. They don't like their life. There are many ways that we hurt ourselves when we don't like who we are. On the other hand, if you take action just for the sake of doing it, without expecting a reward, you will find that you enjoy every action you do. Rewards will come, but you are not attached to the reward. You can even get more than you would have imagined for yourself without expecting a reward. If we like what we do, if we always do our best, then we are really enjoying life. This really stood out for me right here. We are having fun. We don't get bored, and we don't have frustrations. When you do your best, you don't give the judge, and this is a part of yourself that he talks about earlier in the book, the judge, the opportunity to find you guilty or to blame you. If you have done your best and the judge tries to judge you according to your book of law, your set of agreements that you've made, then you've got the answer. I did my best. There are no regrets. This is why we always do our best. It is not an easy agreement to keep, but this agreement is really going to set you free. When you do your best, you learn to accept yourself, but you have to be aware and learn from your mistakes. Learning from your mistakes means you practice. Look honestly at the results and keep practicing. This increases your awareness. Doing your best really doesn't feel like work because you enjoy whatever you're doing. You know you're doing your best when you are enjoying the action or doing it in a way that you will not have negative repercussions for yourself. You do your best because you want to do it, not because you have to do it. Not because you were trying to please the judge, and not because you were trying to please other people. If you take action because you have to, then there is no way you're going to do your best. Then it is better not to do it. No, you do your best because you are doing your best, because doing your best all the time makes you so happy. So that really hit home for me, and that reminded me of the concept of a life purpose and about how you need to kind of filter out what you're passionate about in life and how you want to serve the world, and go ahead and find what your life purpose is based off of those principles and what you're passionate about, and then do that as a way to survive and as a way to not only survive but thrive. Then you can do your best because you're going to enjoy doing it. So I actually have a video on how to find your life purpose, so you can go ahead and check that out on my channel as well. Those few pages reminded me of that concept a whole lot. And one other thing that I want to talk about before I sign off here is the concept of the world's collective dream. And he talks about this in the book, is that the world sort of has a collective dream when you look at it, and it seems to be a bit of a nightmare. It seems to be a living hell when you look at the world as a whole. There's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of hunger. There's a lot of, even in places where there isn't poverty and hunger, there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of greed. And that seems to be a living hell. It doesn't feel good. And it's so easy for us to fall into that collective dream that he talks about. And it's called a dream because you're really in control of it. It's really self-created. And he talks about how you have the power to create your own dream if you don't like the dream that you're in. And through reading this book, you're really going to grab a lot of insight on how to create your own personal dream where you can live in heaven on earth. All right, guys, that's it today. That's my summary and my review on the 4 agreements. 10 out of 10. I highly recommend go give it a read. And it's a very easy read too. You can read it in a few days. It took me like 3 or 4 days to read it. So yeah, that's all. Be sure to hit that like button for me. Let me know what you thought in the description below. Have you read the book already? If you haven't, let me know after you read it what you think. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more content. I plan on doing some more book reviews in the future, and I've read tons of really good books that I have to recommend for you guys and to do some reviews on. So stay tuned for that. And I also have a lot of really practical and useful content of my own for you to implement into your life. I think that's it. Oh, of course, I'm forgetting that. I also offer free life coaching for anybody who wants a session. So you can go ahead and reach out to me, send me a DM on Instagram or email me. I'll attach my email and the link to my Instagram in the description below. If you want a free coaching session, you can go check me out on my channel and kind of get to know me from my content and see if maybe you want to work with me. First session is free for everybody who wants it. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good one.